Almost there.
Everybody make sure that you've got your original sound for musicians or something else that will work with playing and talking.
Yes, and I'm going to spotlight myself. There we go, so you can see me big. This is something new that Mary helped me figure out, so you can see me, see what I'm doing, and so I'm not in a tiny little box, I'm in a bigger box. Delighted that you're all here. It is October 8th, 2024. We are well into fall here in Indiana, and the leaves are starting to turn. It's been very dry here the past few months, so I've been told that does not bode for a really beautiful fall, that we need more water to make that happen, but I'm hopeful. I got my fingers crossed on that. Tonight we're going to be talking about arpeggios and scales, building finger strength and fluency. This is for, if you've been with me for a while, this is not going to be new information. This will be review information, but we'll be talking about majors, minors, dominants, different keys. We'll talk about keys a little bit. We'll talk more about modes, but I'll get into a couple different keys as well tonight. We don't do that too often. We can talk about arpeggios and scales as foundations for improvisation and some finger dexterity and technique tonight as well. So let's get started. First of all, how many people know how to change keys on their harps? Playing multiple keys, okay, great. How many people know what an arpeggio is? Yeah, a little bit, okay. All right, and a scale? Everybody knows what a scale is? Sorta, yeah. So how about a mode? Modes, okay. All right, so that helps me know how to approach all of this tonight. All right, so I just got back from playing a gig in Lafayette, Indiana, where Purdue University is located. I didn't play at Purdue, I played at the Lafayette Country Club, but it was really nice to be out and playing again. I have, as a lot of you know, I moved recently to Indiana. That was my first public gig since I moved here, and it was just great to be out with people again, playing for people again. And so when I travel, I put all my levers down. I should put all my levers down at night too. Sometimes I remember to do that, sometimes I forget, but that's what I'm doing now. I tune the harp in the key of E flat, and then set my lever to the key of C, and so that's what I'm doing right now. All right, and this harp has lights in it. And I recommend if you play in low light situations like country club cocktail parties, which is where I played, it's really, really helpful to be able to see the strings and see your hands. I'm gonna just grab my tuning wrench just really quick. Question?
Whose lights do you have?
I got these from Music Makers.
Okay.
Yeah.
What is your harp?
This is a Salve Egan, and it's an electroacoustic harp. So what that means is that I have a pickup on every string. And then I don't know if you can see in the back here. You can see it in here. There we go. All the electronics in there. That's a whole bunch of stuff. I don't understand how it works exactly, but there's one on every string. And it makes it for crystal clear recording and really clear amplification. And I bought it originally, I've had a 2010 model, so it's now 14 years old. And I bought it brand new. And I bought it because I was living in the country in Hawaii and I wanted to record. And I thought, oh, this is going to, first of all, when I moved to the country in Hawaii, I'd never lived in the country before. I'd always lived in the city. I thought, oh, it's going to be so quiet. I can't wait to move to the country where it's so quiet. Oh, was I so wrong. I moved into a farming community where the tractors were mowing tractoring all the time. All my neighbors were plowing and harvesting and planting and all that, dogs barking. And then I lived in the flight path between two very popular tourist spots. So 6 times a day, the helicopters and airplanes would fly over my house, and it made recording impossible. And so that's why I bought this harp. So I can plug this harp into my computer and bypass all of the noise that's going on in the room and just go straight to recording. And it's crystal clear and really beautiful. And if you want to hear what it sounds like, go to Relaxing Harp Music. That's a podcast. It's on every podcasting platform except Spotify. Not on Spotify. Complicated story about why that's not there. But you can hear it on Apple Podcasts and iHeartRadio podcasts and just about anywhere else that you listen to podcasts. It's there. I love it. It's fantastic. It's beautiful sounding. It's very difficult to mic harps correctly because harps are so big. You know, my harp's fairly large. So getting a mic up here and getting a mic down at the bottom and getting them balanced and getting them correct and all of that stuff and making it sound clear is difficult just by the nature of the harp. And then whatever is going on in the room contributes to the sound as well. And it's kind of like miking a piano. So if you do a little bit of research on how to mic a piano, you quickly find out that it's not just the piano, it's the piano plus the room. So it's the same when you're miking a harp, that it's the harp plus the room that creates the sound. And having a pickup on every string and being able to go directly into the computer bypasses all of those problems. It's not picking up the room at all, it's just the harp. So it's a nice feature. And that is true for any electroacoustic harp. So one of my other harps is the carbon fiber harp that Dave Woodworth makes. That's also can be plugged in directly. Now, it does not have a pickup on every string. Maybe I'll do a class about this sometime in the near future, about the difference between this harp and other electroacoustic harps. That one picks up the whole harp. And so, again, it depends on how the whole harp is resonating and where the pickups are located inside the harp. So Davey probably knows about this. I think because you're a harp builder, you know about placement of pickups inside harps. So most acoustic harps have either 1 or 2 pickups in them. Harpsichord harps have 2 pickups in them. I think Dusty Strings have 2 pickups in them, 1 at the top and 1 at the bottom. And it's trying to pick up the whole sound of the harp and then send it out through the jack. This one has 1 on every string. That's what makes this one different and really special and unusual. This is one of the first models that they ever built. And it does have some problems with it because they hadn't worked out some of the details when I bought this harp, but it works well enough for me. So if you want to hear what it sounds like, of course you'll hear it through my headset tonight, but if you want to hear what it sounds like recorded through the computer, the Relaxing Harp Music podcast is where you can hear that. All right, so back to the topic at hand, which I want to talk about arpeggios and scales tonight, because I use them a lot in my improvisations. So an arpeggio is, first of all, the word arpeggio is an Italian word that means something that is created on a harp. Arpa, the Italian word for harp, arp. So it's a piano term that says play the piano like it's a harp. So, I saw somebody had a comment in here. Hang on. Chat. I wish I had double pickups on every string. Oh, yeah. Oh, great. Oh, hi, Eden. Yeah. Um, so, of course, the harp as an instrument came before the piano. So there's some piano terms that we think of as piano terms that actually came from the harp, and this is one of them. And so it's for me, I haven't looked at this what exactly musically it means, but it's like every other string ish. So that in a C arpeggio, you play the chord tones. Let's say that one at a time, and I can tell I still got some new strings here. Just a second. Yeah, that's the newer one. Okay. So that's a C arpeggio. Pardon me if I'm telling you something that's too simple and you already know this, but when I'm talking about a C arpeggio, I'm talking about the C being the root note. I've just recently learned with some of my new students, they didn't know that, so it bears repeating. The reference note is the root note, C arpeggio. And it's in the key of C, it's the first note of the scale, so this is the first chord, and I guess we could call this the first arpeggio. It's a major, it's got a bright, happy sound. Then the next major chord in a C scale is F. Sorry, I haven't tuned the harp, it's a little out of tune. And the G is the next one. And then back to C. And then so the C is the first chord. The F is the fourth chord. The G is the 5 chord. And the C back to the 1. So if you're talking with someone and they say, oh, that's a 1-4-5 song, that's what they're talking about. They're referring to the chord numbers. Lots of simple folk songs are 1-4-5, lots of country music is 1-4-5, lots of hymns, baby songs, in this bright, sunny kind of flavor are going to be 1-4-5 songs. So you can use these 1-4-5s to create your own improvisations about a sunny day. And in fact, this gig that I just played at the country club in Lafayette last weekend, I was playing for people I didn't know. And I also knew that they were probably not musicians. They were, let's see, question. You hear the voice, but not the music. My original sound is on. If I do, this should make it worse. Let's just check this. Yeah, that's worse. Okay. That should make it better. Let me just check and make sure that it's not wrapped up in any fabric here.
You sound fine to me.
Okay. Okay, so I'll go back to my story. So I was playing for people I didn't know. I was hired by someone I did know, but I knew they probably were not musicians. And I was playing for a cocktail hour. So I was not playing a sound bath, not playing a yoga class. I was playing for about 45 minutes where people were not going to be really listening to me. I'm playing background music. So I started off with 1-4-5. And because it's a safe place to go. It's not intellectually challenging, musically challenging. I'm not asking the listener to go somewhere with me. I'm providing a cradle of sound or a blanket of sound for them to talk through as they're meeting their friends, having drinks. So that I spend a fair amount of time doing this. So, and guess what?
Excuse me. Am
Yes.
I the only one that can't hear the music?
I don't know. Can
I think
everybody?
you
Anybody else?
are.
I can hear you fine.
I can hear fine. Leah, you might check something. I wrote you a note.
Yeah, I see that, but I can hear I can hear the words, but just not the music. So I guess I shouldn't be on here then if I can't hear the music.
You might just log out and then log back in and see if that helps.
Or do you have
Okay, thanks.
headphones? If you have headphones, that might
I
help.
don't. No, I'll try logging back
just-
in. Thanks.
Yeah, just try log back in, see if that helps. Yeah. Okay, cool. All right. All right. So, all right. Oh, so if you're feeling like, oh, that's too simple or that's too easy, guess what? You know, I played for maybe 5 minutes, and here comes the organizer of the event. That's so beautiful. I don't know what you're playing, but it's so beautiful, and that's what matters. Is it connecting with the listener? Is it connecting with the person who hired you? Is it connecting with the audience? Not is it complicated or difficult or challenging or anything like that. So always keep that in mind. Who is your audience? Who are you playing for? What do they need? What are they expecting, and what do they want to hear? So I play. So you can. I'm just playing these arpeggios. Now we'll talk about rhythm and organization of the music in just a second, but I want to cover the arpeggios. So there are three major chords that create major arpeggios, which I just gave you, and then there are three minor ones, and those are A minor, D minor, E minor. There we go. Back to A minor. That's that A. That A is just a little sharp. There we go. It's better. Not great. All right. E minor. So those are the three minor chords, three minor arpeggios that you can use together to create moodier music. And I start with the A minor. It's the relative minor of the C. And what do I mean by that? It's the C chord has C, E, and G. The A minor has two of the same notes, the C and the E. And then instead of a G on the top, it's got an A on the bottom. So they're made up of 2/3 of the same notes. And it makes this a relative minor. And in this numbering system that I like to use, the 6 and the 1 can be substituted for each other. You can substitute the 1 for the 6. so good? Okay. Then you have the D minor is the relative minor of the F because they share those two notes, F, A, C, and then D, F, and A. So those two can be substituted for each other. And I'll do a whole class sometime in the future on chord substitution. And then for the G, you probably now can guess that the relative minor for that is the E minor, and it can be substituted for each other. So that's why I said, here are the minor chords. This is why I started with A minor instead of D minor. Started with A minor, D minor, E minor, So I want to dive into this just a little bit deeper. So if you'll notice that A minor is 2 strings down from C, D minor is 2 strings down from F, and E minor is 2 strings down from G. This is one of the things I love about the harp, is this kind of stuff's really easy to see. Much harder to see this happening on the piano, and much easier to see what's happening here on the harp and to keep track of it. Okay. So let's go. Let's say you want to do a little moody, darker improvisation for whatever reason. It's a cloudy day and you feel like representing that, or you're feeling a little blue and you want to represent that. You can do that by playing these 3 chords: the A minor, the D minor, the E minor, and then the A minor. You don't have to do them in that order. You can do them in other orders. This is just one way that works. Okay, then, so we've got those, and then the last one that I want to talk about is the B diminished. It's the 7th note of the C scale, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And then I'm playing the B diminished arpeggio. Oops. And it's spookier. It's the spookiest of all of them because of the relationship between the B and the F here. French police car. I believe this is true, but I need to double check this, that these B, D, and F, these 3 notes are the notes they use on train whistles to get people off the tracks. When the train comes through your town and they blow the whistle, it's a diminished chord because for whatever reason, this is jarring to the human nervous system and it wakes us up and it says, hey, pay attention, something's going on here. Something unpleasant is about to happen, or we're alerting you to something. It can be very useful, but if you want to use it, but you're like, it's just a little too spooky or a little too jarring, stick a G on the bottom, and it becomes a G7 chord. So here's the B diminished chord. Here's the G7 chord. Just with that G on the bottom, it gives it softens it just a little bit. Okay. So let's talk about some patterns here. Some of these patterns will be familiar to you if you've been with me for a while. So you can just play these triads as arpeggios, A, C, E. So perfectly serviceable as a improvisation. And a lot of reasons that people come to me to learn improvisation is they want to string together two songs, or they need to fill some space. They're playing some background music somewhere, or they need to extend the song because there's, whatever is taking longer than they thought. The bride is behind, still putting on her mascara or something. You've got to play a little bit longer than you thought you were going to be playing, and you need to fill the space with something. So you can take the music that you're currently playing and turn it into arpeggios. And if you're working from fake books, it's especially easy because you have the chords there. So just triads, simple triads. Okay, then this isn't so much a arpeggio, but it's built on an arpeggio, and this is one that I love. This is the Billy Jackson, Scottish harp player who I still haven't met yet, but I keep teaching his pattern. So I'm going to break this pattern into several usable pieces. The first is the left hand pattern, which is a 1-5-8. So using the A minor chord as the root chord here, I'm doing A, E, A in the left hand. In the right hand, I'm doing so 1, 5, 8, 9, 10, 12. So that's A, E, A, B, C, E. So you can just play that. That's the same exact pattern, but using the D minor chord. So this is moving to the D is D, A, D, E, F, A. Yep. This is A, D minor, A minor, D minor. Play this at a cocktail hour. If you're going to do this, do it kind of quickly. Just do it too slow. It can really bring the room down. It can be great in a sound bath, but if you're playing background music for a cocktail party, playing it too slow can bring the room down. So then the question, there is a problem though that we run into with the E minor. So we've got E, B, E in the left hand, the 1-5-8. But if I play the 9, it's that F again. It's the French police car problem. It doesn't sound great. You can use it in a sound bath to represent darkness and death and stuff, but at a cocktail party, it's very jarring. So what my first teacher taught me is just for the E minor, instead of doing 9, 10, 12, you're going to do 10, 11, 12. So it's going to be E, B, E, G, A, B. So those three notes right together, the three white notes right next to each other. And that gets around the French police car problem. It's still not right. I'll have to get out my tuner in a minute. It's starting to bug me. Okay. So you can do this same hand pattern, the 1, 5, 8, 9, 10, 12, with the major. We don't have the French police car problem here, so we can use the same hand pattern on all three chords. Here's the F, G, okay. So now I'm going to add just a little bit more to this pattern. So now I'm going to do, with my left hand, I'm going to play the 1, 5, 8, 9, 10, 12, and with my left hand, I'm going to reach up here to the octave. So I'm going to do. So the left hand is 1, 5, 8, 9, 10, 12, the second octave up here. Then I'm going to come back down and do 12, 12, 10, 9. So it's the same three notes that I just played, but I'm playing them going in a downward motion. And what I'm doing is I'm going. So this is G, E, D, E, G. So my right hand staying in the same place, playing the same notes, just going down and then back up. And that same hand pattern works on the F. Same hand pattern works on the G. And back to the C. And then when you're finished, you can just finish on the top note. And you can, this one you can play slowly, especially if you're playing back to the cocktail party example. And then if you want to make it a little fancier, we can add in the last part here, which is this. So far, so good? Okay. So, I want to talk about string numbers a little bit more and relationships of string numbers to each other, which is a little bit off topic, but I think it's important and helpful when you're creating your improvisations. So when you play the C, you go up 4 strings, 1, 2, 3, 4 to the F. Then you go up 1 more to the 5, and then back to the C. Now, if I take that whole pattern and I move it down to the A minor, and bear with me here, but make the leap that the A minor is 1. I go up 4 strings. I'm now on the D minor from the A. Go up 1 more and to the E minor, and that's the 5th string up from the A. So the relationship between those is the same in the minor as it is in the major. And if you can memorize these patterns, you can transpose them to other keys. So I said we were going to do other keys tonight, so let's do that. So let's move into the key of G. So everybody raise your F levers up to F sharp. And let's see how this works in other keys. Another key. We won't do more, probably won't get to another key. So now we're in the key of G. So G is 1, it's the major. Right? And whenever I change keys, now for the country club gig that I played last weekend, I played the whole thing in C. I didn't need to change keys, but I could have. But I like to play the whole scale just so I get it in my ear. Especially if I'm making the change from C to G, that's a close key change. It's nice to hear that F sharp and go, oh yeah, that's the F sharp there. Okay, and then my G is the 1. G is the 1 chord. I count up 4, 1, 2, 3, 4 to the C chord. Count up 1 more to the 5 chord, that's the F now, F major. So F sharp there in the middle. And back to G. Okay, so I just did something by accident, but it's a good one, a happy accident. So I ended up playing, instead of this, which is that same Billy Jackson hand pattern I was doing a second ago, I did it with the triads, the same rhythmic pattern, but with so I'm playing 1, 3, 5, then 1, 3, 5, 1, 5, 3, 5, 3, 5, 3. This is another option for you. And this is sometimes how I discover new things to use in my improvisations, is that I've been playing one pattern for a really long time. I like it. And then I end up playing the same pattern on different strings. So take a second now so that reorient yourself so that G is 1. Now ask yourself, what is the relative minor of G? You're going to count down 2 strings to the E minor. Right? E minor. Count up 4 from E, 1, 2, 3, 4 to A minor. Count up 1 more to the B minor. It's not B diminished because it's got F sharp now in it. No more French police problem. So those are the three minor chords in the key of G. But what I want you to notice is that the relationship to each other is the same as C. We've shifted it over a few strings on the harp. And this is the beauty of the harp. On the piano, you got black keys, finger numbers, stuff you have to memorize. But without all those extra keys on the harp, you don't have to do it. It's the same. So if you learn it in one, you can learn it for all. And you can play in any key. And this is, and if you have a pedal harp, you can play in all 12 keys. The same. Like if you think, for those of you who have ever thought about what the key signature for C flat looks like, but if you set your pedals to C flat, you're playing the same strings as a C. So you've learned it in C. You just set the pedals to be. That's the beauty of the harp. Is why I love it so much. People ask me if it's hard to learn to play the harp, and I was like, I think the piano is much harder. Okay, so we're in the key. So we've got this minor thing going on. Okay, and then I want to talk about the diminished in the key of G, which is the 7th note. So that's G, A, B, C, D, E, F sharp. So the relationship between the F sharp and the C. There's the French police car. Train whistle. And in classical music, we call it the leading tone because it wants to go back home. The leading tone wants to lead us home. And if this feels a little too creepy for you, you can add the D on the bottom, 2 strings down, and now you've got a D7 chord. You're wanting to play with that diminished chord, but it's just a little too like, what do I do with that? You can add the D on the bottom. Still get those tones in there, but not quite as jarring to the nervous system. And then to C. So where I was going with all of this was that the 5th chord, whatever key you're in, the 5th chord is also a leading chord. It wants to lead back home as well. So in the key of G, the 5th chord, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, D. And now that we've talked about this F sharp diminished being the leading tone back to the home, you can understand why the D chord serves that function as well, because it's got a bunch of the notes of the F diminished chord in it. The F sharp and the A. And if you're playing a D7 chord, it's got the whole F sharp diminished chord in it. F sharp, A, and C. With the D on the bottom. So this leads the ear back. So where I'm going with this is the 5 leads back to the 1. The 5 leads back to the 1. So in the key of C, that's a G. G leads back to the C. In the key of G, it's the D that leads back to the G. So far, so good? This also works in the minor keys. So let's take a dip into that, and this will probably be what we finish with tonight. So we've got, the relative minor of G, we determined already, is E minor. So if E is 1, We're going to count up 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's going to be a B minor chord. B minor chord. And this 5, this B minor, leads back to the E minor. I've never talked about this. This is the first time I've talked about this in improvisation or improvising harpist. The 5 leads back to the 1. And in jazz, it's 2, 5, 1. The 2 chord, the 5 chord, and the 1 chord. 2, 5, 1. We'll save that, the 2, for later. But for now, note that this 5, 1 chord progression works both in major and minor. Works both in major and minor. So if you're doing it, let's do it this way. So there's the Billy Jackson. Oops. Just using this Billy Jackson rhythm, just with the triads. E minor, B minor, E minor, B minor. And then you can put in the 4. It will lead back to the E, but not as strongly. Not as strongly. And then the same 1, 5 thing works in majors too, of course. So this is G is the 1. D major is the 5. And you'll hear this 1-5 combination used all over the place now that you know what it is. It gets used all the time in Hawaiian music. Like lots of slack key, Hawaiian slack key music is just those 2 chords. There might be a couple things thrown in for some spice, but the bulk of it is those 2 chords, the 1 and the 5. And then that's the little, I'll do another class on this, but this little turnaround, they call it a turnaround, is common to lots of slack key, but it's built on the 5. So it's in the key G, it starts on a D, and then back to the 1. This is the 5. Back to 1. So that's, if you like slack key music, go listen to some slack key music and you'll hear 1, 5, 1, 5, 1, 5, 1, 5. And then all of the beautiful variations that they do with that. But the underlying chord structure is really, really simple. You can do the same thing with the minors. Hawaiians wouldn't do this. It's not their music isn't minor. Oops. Kind of wintry Hawaiian. It sounds very strange to do it like that. Yeah. Didn't really talk about scales as much as I thought we were going to talk about tonight, so let me just say quickly a couple of things about scales. You can do 4-finger scales. Built on the root note. Then go to the 5. So on the harp, it's so beautifully set up for us that you could even just do that with the first time I ever saw Christina Turn do this, I thought it was cheating. She played her scales with 1 finger. It's like, what are you doing? That takes some control to be able, it took me a while to figure out how to do this. And she did it with her thumb too. Not as good as with 1 finger. Oh my God, all my life I've been working so hard to do my 4-finger scales and get them all even and get them all, and then she did it with 1 finger. I'm like, oh, I didn't know that was allowed. I thought it was cheating. So yeah. And when you're playing for other people who are not harpists, or well, even if they are harpists, they're not going to care you're playing with 1 finger. You're not in a competition. Nobody's judging you. Nobody's saying, yeah, your fingering is wrong. Do what works. Do what works. Okay, questions?
I had a question.
Comments? Yes.
Earlier, when you were doing like the 1, 5, 8, 9, 10, 12, and you were doing that and doing in different chord progressions, and then you kind of ended it. You did something more up here. What was the fingering of what, do you remember what you were doing up there?
Let's see. Major or minor?
I
remember?
don't remember. I think it was major because you showed it. It was kind of
Okay,
after you were
so-
playing first for a little while.
I might have just done, well, I think what I said was, if I'm remembering the right place, that I would just end it on the top note. But I could also do,
Yeah, that. Yeah, what were you doing there? What are you doing there?
oh, so I'm just playing the 9, 10, 12. Those same
Okay.
notes.
Yeah,
It
back and
sounds
forth.
so cool. It sounds like, yeah, it sounds so like I'm doing something magical and advanced, and I'm not.
Oh, nice. Yeah, it was kind of twinkly.
Yeah. Now, part of the reason it's twinkly is because you've got this. The 9 is the same thing as the 2,
Mhm.
and when it's a suspended second. And the suspended notes give that twinkly nature to it, the suspended seconds and the suspended fourths.
Awesome.
Yeah,
Very
I
pretty.
love them. Yeah, cool.
I have a question.
Yes, Dennis.
Okay, when you were talking about the train whistle, when you're doing the pattern, which chord, let's say we're in C, which chord is the one that you got to change the pattern a little bit?
It's the 7th.
No, I know it's the
It's the
7th
B.
chord, but I mean, if you're doing,
But what
I mean,
notes do
if we're
you, what
working,
notes
if
do
we're
you
working
play?
in major or minor, you said that I didn't recall. I think you said it was the E minor that we had to change the pattern a little bit.
Yes,
And then tell me
yes.
again what the,
So let's, yeah. So let's go back to the key of C. So we're going to lower our F sharps
okay.
for that. Yes. So when you're playing the E minor pattern, the Billy Jackson pattern,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
want to avoid the F.
Okay.
You want to avoid the F because I know this is like theory-ish, but it's the fifth of the B. So when in the E
Which is
minor
a
chord, you have E, G, B, and then
right, right.
that. Ugh. I mean, it has its place, right? It's almost Halloween, so why not? But for most of the time, I substitute the G for the F there.
So you're doing like 10, 11, 12 instead of 9, 10, 12.
And, right.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly. Worked for Halloween. Yes, it does. All right. Good for now.
Thank you.
Awesome. Awesome. So thank you all for coming. Wonderful to see you, Davey, Dennis, June, Mary, Candace, and everybody out there who's watching later. If you stay till the very end, thank you for staying till the very end. And we'll do this again in 2 weeks. And did everybody get my email? You did not? Good. Okay. So June, send me your email address. I'll add you to the email list. I finally figured out how to send emails and let people know that I'm doing this. I've resisted learning how to do this for several years, but I finally did it.
What email address should I send it to?
Send it to cymberlilyharp@gmail.com.
Okay.
And I'm sorry I didn't get to swing by when I was going to come back from my trip. The plans kind of changed a little bit.
Next time. I'm not going anywhere. All right, everybody, have a great evening, and I'll be in touch.
Thank
Good
you so
night.
much.
Thanks.